All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome down to Security Rabbit Hole to yet another edition of the Down to Security Rabbit Hole podcast. This is Raf. That's Chase. That's Chase. We are episodes. Yeah, we are episode 618, and this is special because um, it is the Monday after the Black Hat AI extravaganza. If we just call it that, just call it the AI extravaganza for the next couple of years. Um, anyway, Chase, do a quick intro.
Yeah, sure. So Chase Cunningham, retired Navy, Doctor Zero Trust podcast and stuff, and then I write books that no one reads, and I generally just kind of make commentary on the market. I guess nothing very useful, but I do it.
You know why nobody reads your books? Because they make sense and they're hard.
I mean, yeah, that's probably pretty fair. My mom reads my books, so
Well, well, that would be a different problem if your mother didn't
I've
read your
sold a
books.
total of at least one book. So
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Total of one. That's one better than me. Hey, so we're back. I did not. I did not get sick from Black Hat, so I am
it's too early. You got to give it time. There's incubation periods.
myself. All right. Well, uh,
You've
you
just
feel?
guaranteed you're going to get sick. So.
Yeah. Are you feeling all right? You feel good?
As of right now, I don't have any Vegas funk, but so far, fingers
Did you
crossed.
properly disinfect? I properly
I
disinfected.
washed my hands all the time. I even stayed like
That's not what I
30
mean.
minutes
You know
off the
that's not what I mean.
strip. Like I did everything I could to stay away from the Vegas funk.
Yeah, you know what I mean though. Self. Anyway. All right. Cool. So we're back in from Black Hat. I know you've got some strong opinions because I read them. I have you guys that are listening, you know I've got some strong opinions. So that said, Chase, I'm gonna give this to you first, and I'm gonna say, what were your impressions of Black Hat this year?
Well, so I mean, number one, like I'm somebody that lives and breathes in the data world, right? Like I don't like to just make conjecture and bitch and moan about whatever stuff like that. Like if it's something I say, I've probably done some research into it. So as of right now, and I've had my little bot out there doing what bots do and running on, the change in go to market for vendors around Black Hat. Um, let's see. So here's, Black Hat says the 2026 Business Hall had 400 plus exhibitors. It's pretty substantial. And if you filter down through that 400 plus exhibitors and you say, okay, of those 400, how many of them actually substantially pivoted their go to marketing from something prior in 2025 or 2024 to AI centric in 2026? 82% of vendors changed their shit to show up at Black Hat with AI centric. Now there's one that's pretty comical when you really read at it, and like it goes, we're the AI infrastructure company, whereas literally a year before that they were threat visibility, prevention, detection, mitigation. There's another one that is also an AI infrastructure company that says they're the leader, and then there's another one that says they're the leader. So like I'm not sure if maybe like I failed English or if grammar and whatnot is, how can you have 10 leaders in the same space leading the same shit and actually have a leader like that? Literally the word leader doesn't work that way.
Yeah. That's not what they're trying to do, right? This is look. Nothing marketing puts out has to be true. I think that's what we've learned.
That's fair.
It doesn't have to be true. You just have to be able to put it on it. It doesn't. It just can't be illegal, right? It can't be like you can't be like, hey, we are, we're doing something that, and you can't be a public company and say like, hey, we did 10 billion in business and then you did like $1, which is why a lot of these companies aren't public because liar, liar, pants on fire. That said, I don't have the numbers you did, but I worked a booth and I told a lot of the folks that follow me on LinkedIn. I said, come to the binary defense booth last because if you're looking for particularly like I think we're gonna get lumped into like this AI SOC world. I'm not particularly crazy about it because it doesn't mean shit, except for the fact that somehow AI is involved in your SOC, which for many of you listening was like 3 years ago,
I was going to
but
say,
that's
which
besides
is
the point.
duh.
Yeah, like, duh. But the thing that I noticed is, as I said, like, is go everywhere else and come here last. And but There, I'm bordering on the belief that about three quarters of what I read on booths was AI, like Claude slop. Like somebody said, Claude, create me a booth and what I should put on each panel, and they like and make me relevant to AI. By the way, I'm an AppSec vendor. Make me relevant to AI. By the way, I'm a third party risk management company. I'm an EDR. I'm a network security company. I'm a whatever identity company, and like everyone, AI. Um, like, but we did this. I guess I'm not. I shouldn't be surprised, right? Because we did
Oh,
this
I'm not
with
surprised at
cloud.
all. Yeah.
We did it with XDR. We did
We
it
do
with big
zero
data.
trust. We've done it with pick your thing. Like, you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Does this feel different?
it feels different just in the, I guess, like the level of kind of fuckery is really what's different to me. Is it's like we, like you said earlier, is like we don't have to have any bounds in reality as long as we can slap AI something here, then it's
Right.
AI whatever. And it wasn't like normally you find, maybe it doesn't where that's like showed up here. This time I mean, it was just everywhere. And like you said, it was just kind of like people were like screaming into the Claude Ethernet, like, tell me how to be AI relevant. They were like, whatever you
Right.
say, I'm going to throw on my shit. And I asked a lot of people that were, there, like, okay, define how you leverage artificial intelligence. And is this really autonomous? And most of the time I got either like that dog watching television look, tilting your head, kind of confused, or I got some like market thing about autonomous this and AI that and whatever else. And I mean that, but I will say to be fair to the vendors, I also ran into a lot of end users that I had talks with that were like, "We're going to get an AI capability to do X," and I was like, "Okay, but
Why?
yeah, like." I mean, you mean a policy engine, right? They were like, "Well, no, it's an AI powered policy." I was like, "What? What that? Okay." Uh, And then, let me get this straight. You're going to have an AI policy engine for IAM and an AI policy engine for network and an AI policy engine for, and like, does it sound like you have one ring to rule them all? Or does it sound like you're getting a lot of policy engines that may not play well together?
And we're back to 7,000 variations of the same thing that doesn't work together.
I mean, and looking at okay, so here I did another poll too. So this is from my peak greed comment I made earlier. So this
Yeah.
is sort of where we're at. So the total funding based on companies that grew an investment or came out of stealth at Black Cat 2026 is $1.13 billion for 17 different companies. Do the math on that. Like,
It's a lot.
holy giant monkey balls. How much money is being thrown in here. So $1.13 billion newly disclosed capital, 17 companies, average $66 million in funding per capital. Six of the 17 raised $100 million or more. Three of the 17 came out of stealth with over $50 million in funding. Meanwhile, like and I'm not saying that those companies don't deserve that or whatever else. Maybe they do, but I'm saying meanwhile, I'm talking with vendors that are focusing on, solving problems and their shit is very legit and whatever else, but they can't get 50 grand.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what the disconnect is or how this is playing out or whether it's just evil VC stuff or private equity shenanigans or what, but like it's not right and it's causing a problem. The days of people being able to come up with innovative solutions and get funding for it are going away, and that's really not good. It's going to be folks that can come up with the best fucking PowerPoint deck that are going to win. I mean, if you're coming out of stealth at $50 million in funding, holy shit. I talked to one company, zero customers, zero deployments, $7 million in funding.
But listen, I walked around and looked at everybody, right? At least I tried. I did my best. I spent at like 2 hours. I went 2.5 hours maybe. I went in through the maze of the booths. Um, I still had a lot of, and this I don't understand. Companies that don't show up themselves. They bring they hire like literally local talent. So there's one booth that was near ours, and I said, "Your company name is intriguing. What do you do?" And the lady looked at me and said, I'm just here to stand in the booth and point you to to the smart people." I was like, "We're still doing that?"
Some folks are.
I mean,
I
it
did.
wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't like the whole booth babe air. I'm doing air quotes. Don't hate me. That concept from like years ago, right? But you still have somebody that like as a customer or a potential customer, you have like 30 seconds, maybe that's probably being generous, to grab my attention as I walk past. And if I ask, tell me more, and you're like, let me point you to somebody. What's the point? And there were um I'm not going to be the jerk today. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there were so many booths. You said like, hey, $7 million of funding and zero customers, zero deployments. Yes, there are within our space. There are companies that have uh, clearly splashed some cash on booths. Like, oh, you're trying to be the next Wiz. I see what you're doing here, right? But there's like two different versions of this. Like, there's companies that I know the insides of, and I sort of wonder uh, where you got the money and why you're spending it on this rather than developing a product. Um, I suspect I know the answer. More on that later. And then there's those that you're like, wow, you had like a small city last year and you've been reduced to a tabletop. What happened?
Hmm.
Um, and obviously the answer to neither of those is just as simple as it sounds. But uh, there's so much money spent for that 2.5 days of show, and I wonder what the ROI, if anything, is on
It's negative.
those.
It's negative. It's a tax write off. It's like people buying corporate jets. It's like I know I'm losing money on this thing, so I'm just going to write the shit off. I mean, I would because I asked one or two folks. I was like, "How many leads are you going to get out of this?" And they said, "Our goal is 1,000." And I said, "Okay, cool. How are you going to follow up on 1,000 leads?" Well, we're going to send an email blast. And I was like, "Sure, that okay. I mean, you're throwing grenades in a swimming pool, fine, but like, what is the you know do me the math on how much it costs you guys to be here and how many responses you get out of those 1,000 and then what the ROI actually is. It's
Chase,
your
the only appropriate answer to how you're going to follow up with all those is AI call center, right? Like that's the only appropriate
Claude.
reply.
Claude will do
Claude's gonna, dude. It's shocking. Sorry, this just hit my head. It's shocking how many vendors are basically a front end to Claude or
Oh, I saw
OpenAI.
that
Like that's
everywhere.
their entire thing. Well, it's
Yeah.
like what?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. There was one vendor I was talking to, and they were talking through their stuff, and I was like, that's an API call, and they were like, well, no, it's our proprietary. I was like, sure, but what you're doing is you're calling Anthropic, and then you're ingesting that and putting it into your UI. They're like, yes, that's it. And I was
Yes.
like, that's an API call. Cool, great. I'm glad that you can buy your new Ferrari off of this, but it's kind of bullshit.
And I have to wonder everybody that just built all their big product, their big thing, secret sauce as a giant Claude interface, um, or Claude Code or whatever it is. Like when those things start to get either stop subsidizing them, right? So they're going to start getting more expensive, um, and or the cost of using an open model is 1/100th of that of Claude. You shift, and if you do, who's the victim in that? Because that feels like the big model providers are about to get shellacked.
Well, I mean, I did talk with a couple companies that were like, we're using, I think it was OpenClaw or something like that. I was like, you realize that's fucking Chinese, right? They're like, well, we don't have any. I was like, but it's like, I mean, come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah. And like inherently, there wouldn't be anything wrong with that, except for the fact that they're like this technical technology arms race between the two countries, which
I mean,
feels like a fight for existential survival. So maybe handing them data and code is maybe not the best option. I'm just a guy, right? So
what do I know?
yeah. So I want to say like from last year and the year before and the year before, not much has changed except it's the same companies, it's the same ideas. This year it's now with AI and now it's agents. This is the other part that drove me. And I saw it reinforced this morning in a blog or in a long LinkedIn post, and I about lost my mind. And it was somebody that was talking about like this, the modern SOC workflow or something. And it was like, on one end detections and then human, and then how it's going to be is detection, uh, agent swarms, which is
Oh yeah, it's like that's magic. Like don't please don't say
I was
that.
like, oh, so magic, cool. Um, do you? It's like I had this argument, Chase. I had this. Maybe it was a debate. We were like fighting, but like I had this. It was a heated debate with somebody who was standing in the booth, clearly highly technical person. But we started talking about like how good do you feel handing your customers the result of your agent based, no human in the loop SOC output, and like very confident. It's like, okay, based on, they're like, well, we do this research and this enrichment and this. So they said all the right words. And then, I was like, but people, like, do we no longer need people? Because everything you told me, it uses a non-deterministic model, meaning, right, for those that are newly initiated, as I was at some point, like it doesn't, it doesn't do the same thing twice, exactly the same, which is why it's super frustrating when you're trying to generate a GIF and you're like, oh, no, same picture, but with a different thing. And it's like a totally different picture. You're like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, come on, you son of a
Um,
bitch. Yeah, right.
right. So uh, I said, but non-determinism means there will be mistakes. They're like, oh, yeah, but humans make mistakes. It's like, so you want to replace, like, the whole argument was replace humans who get tired and need sick time and are expensive with machines who may make the same amount of mistakes but are probably as much or more expensive.
I mean,
Meh.
I think the bubble's going to pop here soon because there's a lot of those companies that aren't in our space that are really already getting their ass handed to them about laying people off and the AI side of it there. But the other thing that stood out to me walking around, everybody does all this all the time. Bick, bick, bick. I didn't see anybody talking about hiring. I didn't see anybody talking about bringing in junior people from outside the work. I didn't see anybody talking about reducing certifications for jobs. Like all the kumbaya bullshit that people peddle in front of everybody and then they get on their high horse, whatever out. I didn't see it on the floor and I didn't see people actively championing that. So I think you're all full of shit. Like that's where it is because it can't be both.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. Like I said, $1.13 billion between 17 companies.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of cheddar. And I had no conversations with anyone about divergent hiring or people coming out of college or all that stuff. It just wasn't there. It
No,
was all buy
because
the
what we're
tech.
about to, I mean, Chase, what we're about to do, and I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I suspect I'm not, but I could be wrong. Do you remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, we decided we were going to outsource everything to low cost work in India and that part of the world?
Hmm.
What's the first thing that happened like 3 years later? We're like, hey, how come we're not having anybody in like L2, L3 that we can hire? There's nobody to hire. And those of us that lived through that first part went, because you
Because you
outsourced it all
outsource
over
them all.
there. And like you killed you nuked the farm team. Like, where do you think people are gonna, like? Do you honestly think that people are gonna come out of school and be like, all right, 10 years experience, go? Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
But
it's just
apparently now AI is going to shortcut that. You're just not going to need anything of that. Like, experience from experience. Just going to give them AI. They'll be fine.
I
What?
mean it's just I don't know. There was just so much of the recursives and I feel like I genuinely haven't come from Forrester. Like I feel for the people that are trying to come up with the marketing for these things because it's hard
Yeah.
and it's not easy to do it. And I really wish that they were given more opportunity and they could be bolder and things like that because most of them want to. But you've got the VCs breathing down their necks that have cut them those giant checks. So they're going to say, by God, you would better come out of this with 1,000 leads, or we're going to like murder your children or burn your house down or set your
Right.
cat on fire. And then you've also got like the market itself that is super competitive. And to my point in that blog I wrote this morning, everybody I talk to is like, well, we're an enterprise security company. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how many
Everybody.
fucking enterprises are there? And are you guys not
Well, there's a
following
lot,
like the,
but
yeah, I mean, but are you not following the trends of enterprises are not typically where the compromises have occurred? It's vendors, third parties, contractors, mom and pop shops. And I may have had 5 conversations with companies that said that they specifically served those markets.
you know what's interesting though? That now that you said that, because we are telling everybody that anybody can go get an AI and be a small business, right? You can just let agents run your cash registers and do and like you'll have to do you can be anybody. It's we've leveled the playing field. Everybody can now be a small business owner, but nobody's going to take be able to buy any of these security services because that's all for enterprise.
Well, and I mean, if you're going to run your own small business, great, but then what's your plan for what that infrastructure looks like? And then where are you going to, do what and how that is going to work? But then you go out there and you talk to the floor and you're like, how many folks in here consult with small businesses or offer, plot plan scheme strategy services for SMBs? And most of them are like, it's cost prohibitive for us to do that work. And it's
Right.
going, then we're not fixing the problem. Like the house of cards continues to be built, and we're still sitting there going like, man, I hope a hurricane doesn't come along.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Listen. I think the trend was definitely be loud, be AI, be as bombastic as you can with the claims you can make. Make the claim. Worry about how you're going to substantiate it later. And from what I saw, it's the same thing we did last year and the year before that, and that was the year before that, and the year before that. It's just this somehow feels different because we're talking about a like the way some people talk about it. It's a fundamental and complete shift in how we operate and how we do work. And if we screwed like look, listen, if we screwed up XDR, quite frankly, the outside world wouldn't care, right? If we screwed up cloud, okay, that could be problematic. But yeah, we get eventually right. Like we screw up what we're doing with AI, like we're gonna ruin lives. We're gonna ruin countries. We're gonna ruin a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't know that anybody really is thinking greater good. They're thinking greater pocket, like
Oh,
more money
sure.
for me. I don't care about the. I maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
I think there are people that genuinely care, but I think that there's the ultimate evil, which is the dollar bill that drops into this that drives all those other decisions. And it's, I mean, that's part of the problem for those that are involved. I think is that what's the phrase from the Dark Knight? Harvey Dent said, right? You either live long enough to die a hero, or you live long enough to die a villain, or you live, what is it? You live long enough to become the villain. There you go, or you die a hero. Like that's kind of it. And
Yeah,
if you're on the side of like
I
just
like.
good,
I think my favorite Batman quote is "Some men just want to watch the world burn."
yeah, right.
Because I feel like there's a lot of people that are in a position where they're completely okay watching things around them burn as long as they're pocketing the money on the chaos it causes. That's disturbing. On the topic that's like super near and dear to my heart right now, and it kind of has been for a long time, is this whole idea of SOC. Like, what's the SOC going to look like? What's AI's place? How do we and to the extreme, like how do we replace all the people with AI agents and just call it done? Can't we just throw away all your tools and code our own? I had somebody stop by and say, well, this is pretty advanced. I like it, but I think I think I can find somebody that can vibe code this and get what the parts I need out of it. I was like,
Good luck.
maybe. I doubt it, but possible. Like nothing's impossible, right? Like, you can do it. But there's a lot of like maybe maybe what I'm trying to say is like there's a lot of folks that feel it like what's that what's there's a term for it where you've had enough adult beverage where you kind of like 10 feet tall and bulletproof is a
Drunk?
Tracy Morgan song where like I'm feeling 10 foot tall and bulletproof, right? I've had a few, and like I've had so much AI blown up into my nostrils that I can do anything and I can save all the money and protect everything, and look at me, I'm invincible. Like I think some of that is happening too.
Oh, sure. And I mean, like it's everything's a balance, but I think that the balance right now is just so heavy on the you know shenanigan side, on the practicality side, that it's not really driving the thing forward. I think there are some companies that, like, I could put a list together of companies that I know because I've personally checked them out and tried their tech and whatever, that are solving problems, but I honestly can't put those out to the market because then I'll have other folks come after me and go, well, why didn't you say that about us? And here's our lawyer, and that's libel and blah, blah. Even though it's like, no, I'm just saying that their shit is solid. Yours is yours.
Yeah. Uh, Kind of final thoughts because I'm going to run up on time here. But what's your take on? Because I've heard a lot of folks talk about in the hall, mostly in the hallways, right? Talk about the fact that this is kind of exploded, but it's going to very quickly reconsolidate because there are companies that I don't think are going to be there next year. I can name the ones I think in my market segment. I better not though, because like you said, no customers, no real deployments, burning cash, features like in the AI world, right? In the AI reality we live in, to say that it's going to take me 6 to 8 months to deliver a feature, a major, even if it's a major feature, feels like you're going to lose.
I mean, I think that there is a bubble. The bubble's here. The bubble's going to burst, just like every bubble does. And then there's going to be consolidation, and then the pendulum will swing back towards some semblance of the middle. But I don't think we've got to that yet. I think it's probably Q2 of next year when it really kind of starts to go, collapse in on itself. And that's when there's going to be some hard conversations for people to have with the folks that have cut them those checks and whatever else. But probably by then, a lot of those people will have pumped and dumped and exited. So,
Yeah. What's interesting is I don't know if you guys that are listening listen to the All In podcast, great podcast. They publish and they're way more free with their with the way they can talk than I can. But um, they were talking about the fact that the treasury yields are incredibly good right now, and a lot of people are like, well, I could try to make my fortune by continuing to ride this speculative AI thing, or I can go into a what feels safe. And like the hint of destabilization out in the real world is causing a large run to treasuries. If that happens, money outflows from the chip sector, and that thing implodes real fast. It's like they call it the zipper effect, right? Once like one falls, then two, then four, then eight, then 16, then when it goes.
yeah, I mean, it's the cash rush, which is interesting too, because I mean, there's market investment. Like what's funny, tangentially, right, is I did a book signing for the Buy the Breach thing, and I've been telling people for years, if you do what I'm saying in this book, like, you'll make money because it's not wrong. And funny, I was actually selling a book for a guy. My Robinhood bot texted me and said, "Congratulations, you just made X dollars on a trade." And I was like, "That what more proof do you want, man? Like,
That's right. That's right.
go make your
That's
money.
the insane part, right? That's
Everybody
the
else
insane
is."
part. I think. Yeah, I think it's the insane part. We've got a whole bunch of these indicators that are screaming at us saying something. The system feels upside down, but people are still pouring money into it like it's going out of style. And I'm a little concerned about what happens next because it's going to happen. Like every bubble is gone pop.
Every bubble bursts eventually. Like, that's the physical nature of bubbles. Sooner or later, they
Is
burst.
it the question though, Chase? Is it going to be a slow deflation or a rapid kaboom? Because I've speculated earlier this year that like I think I can hear the air coming out, and it's deflating, but I don't know that it's. I think it's still like big enough to where the percentage change is like 1% at a time, and I think the longer it goes, the bigger that number gets. Right? That's how volume goes. Right? You go one to like 1%, then 2%, then three
Right.
percent, then 10%, then 20%, then 50, then 80, then 90, and you're done.
I mean,
Uh,
I think that what we're really going to see is that there's going to be very practical use cases for a lot of this stuff that are very valuable, that solve some really good problems, that help and actually are valuable. Then we're going to see the pop on a lot of these things where people realize after getting elbow deep in it that this is just a fucking Claude API that's sitting on top of a UI, and that's going to derail a whole bunch of stuff, and that'll pull the investors back, that'll pull funding, all those things. So I think it's kind of like I don't know, maybe it's two bubbles. Maybe there's one bubble that's slowly deflating, and then there's the other bubble of like realization that's going to happen soon, and it's going to be more of a pop.
oh man, if that I tell you what, if cash stops pouring into the AI um, models, right? The frontier model companies, because now it's a duopoly. There's only two that really matter. Um, if those start, I mean, they're everything says that they're strong growth in those, but I look at the financial models for them and I wonder like how the hell does that work? Because that kind of math doesn't math for me.
I,
Um, that's
every time
like
I talk with investor folks, I'm like, that the math, okay. I mean, I guess it's lucky you have that much cash to like play with, because and then the
right.
way that they choose who to invest in just boggles my mind, because it's like I could
Well,
give you a
but
list of people.
yeah, but play cash eventually runs out, and you're playing with real world consequences with your play cash, right?
Yeah, but it's
So
somebody else's money, so what does it matter to them?
sure, but what the secondary order effect is with actual people's money,
Sure.
because you eventually impact consumers, you eventually impact end users, and that's going to become super problematic. And you see people already fighting back against data centers in their neighborhoods, in their areas.
Good
You
luck.
see the backlash against all these AI enabled technologies, the tracking, the this, the that. I I think that if you keep pushing, I think if the messaging doesn't change, if it's computers are going to solve all humanity's problems, humanity's just step out of the way, I think the backlash gets harder and harder every time it slaps that wall, and eventually it'll break it.
I mean, maybe Wally was a documentary, not a movie.
That seems to be a popular good opinion. All right, let me end it on this because I think we'll leave this as the bumper for the episode. But so tell me, uh, what when you go to a show like this, how do you give me in a 60-second version? How do you get to figuring out who you're going to see, what you're going to go look at, and what's relevant and what's not? Because it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, so like for me, I put together a list of the vendors that are new. I put a list of the vendors that are doing things that are not like crazy outside the bounds of norm, but are innovative. And then the final thing is I look at who the markets they serve, and then I basically try and go just recon them and see what I can find out from the people at the booth. And you usually get some really good gouge on what's going on there. Probably a lot of the time I get asked by their executives to do like closed door stuff, whatever else. I'm not really interested in that. I'd rather talk to the, folks doing the work.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Hey, so for those of you guys that know, every year for the last several, Rafi Marty and I have been doing RAFCon. In case you're curious, this is this year's shirt, and I thought it would be super cool.
That's
Um,
cool.
isn't that awesome? Like that is. So I can't take credit for this. This is Josh Jones over at Crush Security. Um, I'm just giving you if you're listening, go check out Crush Security because Josh is an awesome person. He's got a great team, and he's kind enough to make T-shirts for me the last 2 years. So odds are, if you're wearing one of these, go tell them thanks. And I hope you got a chance to check us out this year. If not, there's always next year. There might even be another one at RSA. Who knows? You just never know. Anyway, Mr. and Dr. Chase Cunningham, Dr. Zero Trust, Dr. No, thanks for coming on the show and ranting a little bit. I think this felt therapeutic. I feel like I got some of this off my chest. I feel like I feel a little better now. Like when you sneeze out those all that dust that you
It's like the
accrued from.
post Taco Bell visit to the toilet, right?
Wow, that is not where I thought you'd go with that, but that is that's
You got to purge.
good
You got to let it
lord.
all out.
That's the image we're going to leave people with. Oh my God. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening to the Down to Security Rabbit Hole podcast. We'll catch you guys another place, another time, on another Down to Security Rabbit Hole podcast.